أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ثم أما بعد تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال وعيدكم مبارك. So today we shall be covering our last lesson in strategic management. So this is the last lesson, and the last lesson is about strategy, evaluation, and control. So as we cover this lesson, these are going to be our lesson objectives. So number one, by the end of this lesson, by the end of the lesson, learners should be able to define strategy evaluation and explain its significance in business decision making. Number two, describe the purpose and objectives of strategy evaluation in assessing strategic effectiveness. Number three, explain the role of strategy evaluation in the strategic management process. Number four, outline the strategy evaluation process and its key steps. Number five, identify the criteria for effective strategy evaluation and their importance. Number six, discuss methods for measuring performance in strategy evaluation. Number seven, examine strategy monitoring and control systems and their impact on strategic success. Then lastly, analyze challenges in strategy evaluation and propose effective solution. So in summary, this is going to be what we shall be covering in our lesson today. Now, as we cover our lesson today, it's very important to understand this diagram. Remember that we said we have the strategic management process. And when you are talking about the strategic management process, there are four things that are involved. I need you to focus. I need you to focus with the diagram. So number one, up there, you have what is known as environmental scanning. Number two, strategy formulation. Number three, strategy implementation. Then lastly, we have strategy evaluation. So these are the three things or the four things that are involved in strategic management. So remember, number one, when we were covering the environmental scanning, we said that we have two types of environment. We have the external environment and we have the internal environment. And we covered in detail about these two environments, and we analyzed in detail the two environments. Then after that, we went ahead to talk about strategy formulation. And remember, in our last lesson, we were talking about strategy choice. Remember, we said that we have the corporate strategy, we have the business strategy, then we have the functional strategy. So we have three types of strategy we have five: the operational strategy and the global strategy. Then also in our lesson last time, we covered the strategy implementation. How do you implement your strategy? Remember, you can be having a very good strategy, but if your implementation plan is not good, then your strategy is going to be haba and manthura. Then now today, our last lesson today, we shall be covering the strategy evaluation. Already we have started implementing, but as we are implementing, there is what is known as at-taqyim. There is what is known as evaluation. We need to see how good are we doing. Are there some areas we need to improve? Are there some areas that need some corrective measures? Okay? Those who have their videos, can you please turn off your videos? Turn off your videos. Nobody wants to see your face. Please turn off your videos. It is distracting me on this side. Now, so again, when we're talking about the strategy evaluation and control, so already you have your mission, is very clear. Your objective is very clear. Remember, we talked about the external analysis, the internal analysis. We also talked in our last lesson about the strategic choice, which is the strategy formulation. Then we also talked about strategy implementation. So in our lesson today, we shall be covering strategy evaluation. Can you please switch off your video? Plus you, Fadil Production, and the control. These are the two things that we shall be covering today. I don't know why you're turning on your video. Now, if you do all these things as it is supposed to be done, then what is the end result? The end result is competitive advantage. Al-miza at-tanafusiyya. Remember, you are having your business, and the main aim of your business is that you want to you want to compete, turid and tatanafas mal akharin. So if you do everything in the right way, your strategy formulation is good, your strategy implementation is good, your strategy evaluation and control is good, what will you achieve? What is the end result? The end result is what? The end result is what? The end result is competitive advantage. Is it clear? Now, let us start. Bismillah. Now, introduction to strategy evaluation. What is the meaning of strategy evaluation? So strategy evaluation is the process of assessing how well a strategic plan is performing and making necessary adjustment to achieve organizational goals. Full stop. So when you're talking about strategy evaluation, we are assessing how our strategic plan is performing. Is it performing well? Fabiha wa ni'ma. Is it not performing okay? Then we need to do some things. We need to change some things. So, for example, a private school implements a new leadership style to improve teacher performance. There is a school and they have a new leadership style. Strategy evaluation helps determine whether the new leadership approach is increasing productivity or if adjustments are needed. So you have a school, and the school, they've introduced a new leadership. So we want to see, is this new leadership style, is it okay? Or we need to adjust, or we need to improve, or we need to change some things. Now, what is the purpose and objectives of strategy evaluation? Why do we have to evaluate? لماذا نقوم بعملية التقييم؟ لماذا? So the primary purpose of strategy formulation is to do what? Is to ensure that a company's strategic plan remains, number one, relevant, and number two, effective. So these two things are very important. That is the purpose why we are evaluating, to know, is our strategy relevant? Relevant, meaning that is it aligned to the technology that is around? You know, is it aligned to the environment that we are operating in? Is it relevant, or we have to change it? Then number two, is it effective? Al-fa'aliyah. Is the strategy helping us to achieve our organizational goals? So those are the two purposes we want to achieve. Okay, وما هي الأهداف? The objectives of strategy evaluation. Number one, measuring performance against set goals. تقييم الأداء. We want to measure our performance against set goals. So we have our goals. For example, at the beginning of the year, we say, نحن نريد number one, number two, number three, number four. That is in January. In December, we are going to evaluate ourselves. Okay, in January, we said we want 1, 2, 3, and 4. Did we achieve them or we did not achieve them? Okay, number two, identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Remember, when we were talking about the environmental analysis, we talked about this SWOT analysis. So it is part and parcel of what? Of strategy evaluation. Then ensuring efficient resource utilization. So when we are evaluating, we can be able to know where to put more resources and where to do what? Not to put more resources. There are some areas that are not doing okay. So we remove the resources from area A, we allocate it to area B. That is only after evaluation. Then D, making timely adjustment to improve success rate. So strategy evaluation normally enables us to make adjustment as time goes. We make adjustment, you know, maybe it can be quarterly, it can be semi-annually, it can be annually. So we normally make timely what? we normally make timely adjustment. So these are the what? These are the purposes and objectives of strategy evaluation. Now, again, as we are talking about the role of strategy evaluation, we have to know that strategy evaluation is the final phase of strategic management, ensuring that strategic planning and implementation lead to desired results. That is an-nata'ij al-marghuba. That is why we are evaluating, to ensure that we get an-nata'ij al-marghuba. So strategy evaluation, it provides feedback, identifying what is working and what is not working. What is working and what is not working. Number two, facilitate continuous improvement, at-tahassun al-mustamirra, making necessary modification to improve performance. Then lastly, enhancing decision making, supporting leadership in making informed choices about the future. This is what is related to do what? Effective allocation of resources. So it is related to decision making. Now, what is the connection of strategy evaluation with the other stages? How is strategy evaluation related to strategy formulation and strategy implementation? Are they related? Yes, they are related. They always work together as a team. So strategy formulation, evaluation checks if the chosen strategy is viable. So remember in our last lesson, we said that we have different types of strategy: corporate strategy, business strategy, operation strategy, global strategy. So through evaluation, we can easily know, is our strategy doing well or it's not doing well? Number two, in strategy implementation, evaluation monitors execution effectiveness. So evaluation always helps us in execution. It monitors. It helps us when we are executing في عملية التنفيذ. Now, if you look at this process, if you look at this diagram, you will notice what? We have what is known as situational analysis. Situational analysis is the environmental scanning, the external and internal analysis. We have the strategy formulation, implementation, and evaluation. So we normally get feedback. I need you to focus with evaluation and control. You see the arrow. This arrow is the feedback. So this feedback is very important. We get the feedback about implementation. We get feedback about strategy formulation, and also the feedback in external and internal analysis. So this evaluation process is very important, because the evaluation helps us in strategy implementation, it helps us in strategy formulation, at the same time, it helps us in environmental scanning. Now, when and how often to evaluate strategy? When and how often? Like, after how long should we evaluate? It's just like in university. How often should we evaluate the student? Like in the university, you have the mid-semester evaluation, you have the end of semester, you have the quiz, you have the assignments. These are all evaluation. The same thing in strategy. We normally have timely evaluation of the strategy. So sometimes strategy evaluation should be conducted, number one, regularly. Miraran or tikraran. It can be quarterly. Quarterly means after maybe every 4 months. It can be annually, after every 12 months. It can be semi-annually, after every 6 months. So helps track progress over time. So after every time, we have a specific time to measure our what? To measure or evaluate our strategy. So number one, regularly. Okay, number two, also, when are we supposed to evaluate our strategy? After major changes, such as leadership transition. So for example, we are in an organization, then there is the change of leadership. Another leader comes in place. So when the leader and a new leader comes, there is a need to evaluate what was happening before, what needs to be done moving forward. So such as leadership transition. Even it happens in a country after the election, when the new president comes in place, the new president will do what? Will evaluate the country, the economic policy, the social policy, the educational policy, the export imports policy. Then the market shifts. If the market is changing, we also need to evaluate our strategy. Then, for new product launches, or when you are introducing a new product. So if there is any change, we also need to evaluate. Number 3, during performance declines, إذا كان الأداء منخفض, when our performance is going down, what should we do? We have to evaluate, Ya Rabbi, what is happening? Why are our sales going down? Why are our profits going down? Why are employees leaving our organization? If an organization notices a drop in sales, employee performance, or customer satisfaction, if there are a lot of complaints, customers are complaining about our organization, then we need to speak. We need to have a meeting, ya Jama. Mother, nahnu, what should we do? So this is when and how often to evaluate our strategy. Now, this is very important, strategy evaluation process. How do we, the amaliyatul taqim. The amaliyatul taqim is not something that is sudfa, it's not something that is faj'atan, no. It is something that is pragmatic, it is something that is systematic, it is something that is planned, it is something that has processes. So you cannot just start evaluating ashwaiya. No, you cannot do that. So number 1, we have establishing performance standard. Number 2, measuring actual performance. Number 3, analyzing deviation. Then lastly, taking corrective actions. These are the 4 steps in doing what? In evaluating our strategy. Okay, now let us look into details about this process. Number 1, establishing performance standard. This normally happens at the beginning of the year, ya Jama. So setting measurable goals and benchmark. For example, at the beginning of the year, Alpha University can say, their goal is to do what? A university sets 10% increase in student enrollment as a performance target. So at the beginning of the year, Alpha University sets a target. Ya Jama, we need to increase our student enrollment by 10%. Full stop. So that is an example of a performance standard. Number 2, measuring actual performance. So this is comparing results against set standards. So when we are talking about measuring actual performance, using the same example of Alpha, if Alpha University, their target was what? 10%. Measuring actual performance. So at the end of the year, Alpha will measure the performance. If the student enrollment is 20%, wow, mashallah, they'll be very happy. We have achieved our objective. But if the enrollment is 8%, if it is 5%, it means there was a problem. So Alpha, they will sit and ask themselves, what happened? Why did we not achieve 10%? So when you're talking about measuring actual performance, at the end of the year in December, remember in January we said we wanted 10%. Now, in December we are having 8%, 5%. We did not achieve our goal. Then analyzing deviation, identifying gaps between expected and actual performance. We need to analyze. If we said we wanted 10 at the beginning of the year and we have 5%, there is a deviation of 5%. So we ask ourselves, why did we not achieve this 5%? So then, after that, we take the corrective measure, taking corrective action, adjusting strategy to improve performance. So it is only after that that Alpha University can say, okay, we did not achieve 5% because maybe we do not have enough resources. Maybe our teachers were not qualified. Maybe our admission policies were not okay. Maybe our marketing strategy was not okay. There can be a lot of corrective measures. So this is the 4 things that are involved in any evaluation. Set your objective in your business. If you are having a business center, set your profit at the beginning of the year. You say that in 2025, I want 20% profit. Number two, at the end of the year, you measure what do I have the actual performance. You measure it against the established performance. Then you ask yourself, is there any deviation? Remember, this is very important. The deviation can be positive, sometimes it can be negative. Positive deviation means that you have exceeded your performance. You wanted 10%, but mashallah, you have 15%. So you have exceeded your expectation. But when it is negative, your target was 10, but here now you have 5. You have failed miserably. You need to ask yourself why. Now, the criteria for effective evaluation. When we are talking about criteria for effective strategy evaluation, we are talking about al-ma'ayir, ma'ayir al-taqim, al-adam. Ma hiya al-ma'ayir? What are the criteria? What are the standards? What needs to be there when we are evaluating our performance? What needs to be there? So number one, consistency. Consistency means our strategy should align with organizational goals and policies. Is it clear? Our strategy should align with our vision. Our strategy should align with our mission. There should be no inhiraf. No. Number two, visibility. Visibility means what? The strategy should be realistic and achievable with available resources. The strategy should be realistic and achievable. So what they are telling us, you should set a realistic objective, something that you can achieve. For example, you at the beginning of the semester, you can set your objective. It should be visible. Don't say, I want to get A+. And you know very well you are very lazy, you are very busy. You know very well you cannot achieve A+. So when you are setting your objective, just say, okay, I want to get a B+, because you know yourself better. I know I can achieve B+. But don't say, no, I want A+, and you know very well you don't have the capacity. Number three, suitability. The strategy should fit the company's environment and market condition. Your strategy should fit the what? The company's environment, the internal environment, and also the external environment. Number three, advantage. The strategy should provide competitive advantage. Your strategy should enable you to compete with your competitors. Number five, consonance. The strategy should align with external environmental trend. If there is a change in the external environment, you also change. Do you know what happened to Nokia company? Why did Nokia company fail? Because Nokia company, their strategy was not consonant. So the environment was changing, but Nokia was just relaxed. We have customers, so they were not improving in research, they were not improving in technology. So nowadays, where you cannot hear anybody who is having a Nokia mobile phone. Relevance. The strategy should address current organizational needs and market demands. So the strategy should be mawdu'iyya, waqi'iyya. It should help us solve the problem that we are facing. Then lastly, acceptability. You know, acceptability means what? The strategy should be accepted to stakeholders. That the strategy there should be ownership. All the stakeholders, including employees, customers, and investors, they should accept. They should be willing to die because of the strategy. And this can only be done when you, as a leader, you share the strategy. Remember when you were talking about leadership style, You have to be very democratic, engage them, the bottom up leadership style. Get their inputs. Once you get their inputs, they are going to buy in. They will support the strategy. So these are the criteria for effective strategy evaluation. So now, remember when you're talking about evaluation, you are talking about performance, al-ada. So what is measuring performance? So a systematic process to track progress towards strategic goals using quantitative and qualitative metrics. Full stop. Underline the word quantitative, underline the word qualitative. So when we are evaluating our strategy, there are two things. There are two methodologies. We can evaluate our strategy kimiyan and kayfiyan. Kimiyan, quantitatively, and kayfiyan, qualitatively. So these are the two metrics that can help us to evaluate our performance. Now, when you are talking about the financial metrics, they are quantitative, kimia. So the first one is the financial metrics. And when you're talking about the financial metrics, we have the return on investment. So this one measures the profitability of an investment. Example, a company invests 1 million in a new product and earns 1.5 million, achieving a 50% return on investment. So this one, we can use numbers to see if we are doing okay. If I invested 1 million and I am having 1.5 million profit, so I have a profit of 50%. So I can easily say quantitatively that I can measure my performance quantitatively and say that I have achieved a 50% profit. Number two, we have what is known as profitability. Profitability means al-arbah. Al-arbah assesses how efficiently a company generates profit. So for example, a restaurant tracks its net profit margin to see if food costs are managed effectively. So when you're talking about profitability, we measure our revenues to our income. So we compare our masarif to our iradat. إذا كان الإيرادات أكثر من المصاريف واو هناك الأرباح والعكس صحيح. Then revenue growth, sales, evaluates the increase in sales over time. For example, during Ramadan, your sales can increase in 20%, 30%, because many people were buying a lot, in Eid. During Eid, you can easily say, my sales increased by 20%, or my sales decreased. These are the financial metrics. This is what is known as quantitative. Now, non-financial, I can measure my performance kayfiyan or wasfiyan. Number one, wasfiyan, customer satisfaction. So here I measure client happiness through surveys and feedback. So here I don't have any numbers, but for example, I just have an online survey and I see whatever, my customer satisfaction, are they satisfied or they are not satisfied? So you just ask your customers, you give them a question, are you satisfied or are you not satisfied? And this one you normally find a lot in South. For example, Telesom. Sometimes Telesom will send you a message. Can you please tell us our services, are they good or bad? This is kayfiyan, qualitative. Market share. For example, company compares a company's sales to total industry sales. So a smartphone brand tracks its percentage of global sales compared to its competitors like Apple and Samsung. So here we are comparing ourselves with other companies, the percentages. Then employee engagement assesses staff motivation and productivity. Our staffs, are they happy? Are they motivated? If they're happy, they don't leave the work. If they're not happy, they leave your company, they go to another company. So these are measures that are qualitative in. So these are the two ways we can use to measure our performance. Now, this is just the same thing I was saying, key performance indicators. You know, we have the performance measurement. So so when you're talking about key performance indicators, these are measurable values that assess how effectively an organization is achieving its strategic objective. So in every organization, they normally have al-ma'ayir. These al-ma'ayir, they're known as indicators. These indicators, why are they important? These indicators, they help us in measuring our performance. For example, a university monitors student graduation rate to evaluate academic quality. A university is measuring how many students are graduating every year. For example, at Alpha University, how many students are graduating from the master's program every year? You know, if the number is increasing, wow, we are doing well. If the graduation rate is low, it means Alpha has a problem. It means that its program is not competitive. Number two, informed decision making. These key performance indicators, they can help us to do what? To make decisions. Accountability. These performance indicators, they help us to be hunaka al-muhasaba. For example, as an employer, you can tell you, okay, at the end of the month, this is the target. We want 10% from you, Mohammed. So Mohammed has to ensure that he meets the target. If at the end of the month, Mohammed does not meet 10%, Muhammad huwa al-mas'ul, limadha lam tuhakkik, this 10%. So you will be accountable. Satakun mas'ul. Then continuous improvement. These performance metrics, they help us to know, are we improving or we are not improving? Then competitive advantage, it enables us to benchmark ourselves with our competitors. When we are talking about benchmarking, of course, we have, it's university, you have the educational industry. Alpha is measuring its performance against Mogadishu University, or maybe Jamhuriya University, or maybe Amud University. If it is Telesom, that is telecommunication industry. It is measuring its performance against Somtel or Soltel. Now we are talking about strategy monitoring and control. We've finished about evaluation. So we have what is known as monitoring and control. Monitoring in Arabic, it's something like riqaba, a So evaluation is taqim, then monitoring and control is a riqaba. So somebody in an exam, you can be asked, what is the difference between evaluation and control? So evaluation normally is what? Evaluation normally happens, evaluation is, you can say that evaluation is summative in nature and monitoring is formative in nature. What is the meaning of that? The meaning is that evaluation, for example, when you're doing your exam, the end of semester, we evaluate the students at the end of the semester, and we monitor the student with the mid-semester exam. So the mid-semester exam is known as formative assessment, or it is known as control and monitoring. So strategy monitoring and control system involve tracking the implementation. Tracking, the keyword is tracking the implementation of strategy, assessing its effectiveness, and making necessary adjustment. So we are monitoring and tracking day by day as we are making changes. Okay, setting up monitoring system. Different organizations, they have different monitoring system. So setting up monitoring system, we only have 1 minute or 2 minutes remaining before the break. So we'll have a short break, then we'll continue after 10 minutes. So we are almost going for our first break. But before our break, setting up monitoring system. So establishing a structured process to track progress and performance against strategic objectives and identify deviation. So many companies, they normally have different ways of tracking. How do you track your so you have the dashboards, You have automated alert. We have regular reports, monthly reports, inventory levels, and it is automated. So if you are in a company, you can easily know, wow, my stock has finished. I have to buy more stock. So you have a system that is helping you to track your inventory, what is in your store, or you have a dashboard. So for example, setting up monitoring systems. This is an example, sales performance dashboard. So this one, it helps us to know, you can compare your sales. This year, how was your sales compared to last year? Sales by product. For example, if you are having a business center, you can know how many computers did we sell this month, how many mobile phones did we sell. So you can know what is doing okay in my business. Is it the mobile phones? Many people are buying the mobile phone. You can also know what is not doing okay. And you can also rank yourself. You can also track your customers. Do you have new customers? How many new customers did you get this month? How many new customers joined last month? What is the trend? Our customers, are they increasing or are they decreasing? If they are decreasing, we need to improve our marketing strategy. You can also track your profit previous year. So you have a system that is advanced. You have an automated system. You just go to a computer and it gives you all this information, Now, so what are in every organization you have what is known as control mechanism. How do you control performances in your organization, So so this control mechanism, they ensure deviation are corrected to stay on track. For example, we have budget controls, quality control,